It's May 2013, and you might have now heard that Warner Brothers, now after acquiring the rights to Dungeons and Dragons, is reworking a script that they have to fit inside the realm of the Dungeons and Dragons franchise of films. Now, this is the same studio that's bringing us the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the ongoing Hobbit trilogy and other fantasy franchises like the Game of Thrones, since they own HBO. And they're making a buttload of money out of all of that. So what are they doing now? They acquired the rights to the franchise known as... It's like the epitome of like the nerd game to end all nerd games. It's been the punchline way before chess. No, I mean, not before chess, but way before RPG video games, before Pokemon, before Magic the Gathering. It was always Dungeons and Dragons, which was created in 1974, so it's coming up on its 40th anniversary next year in 2014. And the script that they acquired was from David Leslie Johnson, who is the writer from Wrath of the Titans, who basically created Greek mythology blasphemy with that movie. Zeus didn't appear to even be a god in that movie. But I do like his other film, Red Riding Hood, and I know a lot of other people just instantly hated that because of, like, the director from Twilight directed that, so they marketed it as like a love film, even though it kind of turned out to be like a whodunit version of the Red Riding Hood tale. I enjoyed it. So his script was originally intended for a game called Chainmail, which came out in 1971, also developed by the creators of Dungeons and Dragons. And that's a medieval miniature war game played with miniatures. And so, because Dungeons and Dragons is a role game and it has no definitive universe other than just combining all the cliched fantasy realms of the worlds and creatures of those worlds, as you might imagine. Goblins, elves, giants, trolls, dragons, wizards, gods, you name it. So, and we also know that, whatchamacallit, if you're wondering, World of Warcraft is being developed into a movie also. Check on VillainNews, my channel, for the latest updates for that. I did a video on it. But here's the thing, I don't even really trust Warner Brothers, let's be honest. They can't even get a Justice League movie going. This is so like Warner Brothers, and the producers involved is Roy Lee, a guy who hasn't even who's supposed to be producing the Lego movie, which hasn't even been made yet, and Courtney Solomon, who's the guy who in his late 20s directed the first Dungeons and Dragons film with Jeremy Irons, which turned out to be a huge bust. That one cost $45 million to make, which is like the equivalent to $80-something million today. But Warner Brothers is going to put a lot of money into this, apparently. I know there's been a number of comic books recently released this decade on Dungeons and Dragons, and I hear good things about them. So that would be interesting. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it a joke. They're going to make it serious, like a Lord of the Rings movie. And not like the 80s TV show, which a lot of people love. Where it's basically intended for kids, where it's like these group of like 12-year-olds get transported into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and they go on to play their own roles. It's totally intended for kids. Decent show, but wouldn't work in a live-action film. But that's pretty much all I have to say for it right now. Like I was saying, check out and do your own research on everything that I mentioned, and I hope if you have anything to say, leave a comment. I'd love to talk about it, and I know there's rumors about the hardcore geeks that hardcore get into Dungeons and Dragons, where they'll sit down and they'll actually think that they're an elf the whole time and play like 5 hours through the night in character, even when they go to the bathroom. Ridiculous. Anyway, so they're basically reworking his original script. Apparently the script is done and then going to be reworked to fit into the Dungeons and Dragon realm. So who knows how this is going to turn out. If it turns out somewhere halfway between Wrath of the Titans and Red Riding, I think it'll be decent. I don't think it'll be a huge flop. It won't be a flop. Let's see who's involved. Anyway, this is JBM from VillainNews. I'm out. You can hate me now.